Alright, today we're going to take a real quick look at the Xtreme Hardcore Gear True Level Picatinny rail. I've got a couple different models here. I'll talk about the features, why you would want one, and then ultimately why I'm not going to be using them. So I've got one here mounted on a Tikka T3. So we'll talk about it real quick. Now, obviously, it's a Picatinny rail. Aside from one feature, it does the same thing that all other Picatinny rails do. They do offer it, as far as I know, in most, if not all, actions that they make it for in a 0 MOA and a 20 MOA. This one is a 20 MOA. Now, why you would want one is it's got the level, the bubble level, right here in the back of the rail. Now, I've read several reviews on it. Some people like it, some people don't like it. To me, I'm really indifferent on it being there. It is nice just because you don't have to mount it to a scope, which takes extra time getting it set up, and then when you change scopes, all the scopes have to have a level on it. So this way you can set all your scopes up if you swap scopes around and just have the level on the rifle itself. Now, obviously, you still have to ensure that the scope was level in the rings that you're using, but it does eliminate the need for several different bubble levels. As far as actually using the level itself, I've heard a lot of people complain that it was hard, they had to peek down to look. Well, for me personally, I've had them mounted up here on the top, I've had them mounted off to the side. For me, there is no level that I have found that I can just be in the gun, in the scope, and look at the level, and everything's fine. I always have to tweak my head a little bit, whether it be on top, I have to peek up, on the side, I kind of have to lean over a little bit. For whatever reason, it's really hard for me to see with my non-dominant eye, and then this, you kind of do have to peek your head down a little bit. So as far as usability, to me, it's no different. Like I said, it is a little bit easier on the wallet with a rifle that has many different scopes, or you're testing scopes, or you change scopes quite often. Whatever the reason may be, you can cut down on bubble levels. Now we're going to get into why I'm not going to be running these. I'm going to sell these and go back to normal Picatinny rails. You can see on this one here, and I will get a close-up here, because of the fact that it pokes off the rear of the action roughly a ½ inch. I don't know, I didn't measure it. I've had to set my scope back around a ½ inch, which makes the eye relief very critical. As a matter of fact, almost unusable. I have to put my cheek weld so far back it's not comfortable, and I can't shoot the rifle well. It's just not going to work in a hunting setup. I really need it to be forward. When I do move it forward, this focus ring hits on the back of the rail. You're not going to have that problem with a typical rail that ends at the rear of the action, which would be roughly a ½ inch forward from this one. Now, if you are interested in it and you just flat out want to give it a try or use it, you're going to have to use higher rings, I would say, for most scopes. Obviously, not all of them are going to have the focus ring this thick or in this exact location, so some may work. I'm not going to say they won't, but I don't want to mount my scope up any higher. Even with these very low Seekins Picatinny rail rings and this normal 20 MOA ring, it's still a little bit higher than I would like. You're splitting hairs there, but I don't want to go any higher. So that's one of the reasons why I won't be using this. On this particular the model with the Tikka, it just sets back too far. I would guess that you're gonna run into this with other rifles as well. I can't see any reason why. They're all, I mean, if you've got a given length of pull, the actions are fairly close to the same dimensions. I do realize they differ a little bit, but I do have this one that I bought for a Remington 700 to mount on one of my Christensen Ridgelines just to give it a try. I never even got a scope mounted on it, because when I mounted it, for the exact same reason as this scope issue, it poking off the back of the action roughly ½ inch, my bolt handle was hitting on it. I really don't think it was technically interfering with the operation of the bolt, but it was eventually going to rub wear marks on both, and you could definitely feel it hit every time, and it just wasn't something I was willing to deal with. So I immediately removed it from that. Like I said, I hadn't even got a scope mounted on it. I wish I would have. I would have found this issue with the scope position, and I would not have ordered a second one. Hopefully I've covered all of the features. Like I said, it's really just the addition of the bubble level. I can see some advantages to it. Obviously, that's why I bought it, and I even bought a second one when the first one wasn't going to work for me, just to give it a try. But in the end, those two issues are just going to make it so it's not usable for me. That doesn't mean it won't be usable for you. Just some things to take into consideration. I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. Hopefully this was helpful in some way. Have a good day. Please subscribe, leave any comments, any questions. I'll try to answer those, and we'll see you later. Thank you. Have a good day.